Sometimes someone does something nice for you just because they want to be nice. And I greatly appreciate that. I think that it's wonderful to be on the receiving end of people's generosity. This is War of the Ring, the card game. I'm excited about this because I like War of the Ring. I was taught it by my brother last year now. It's 2023. Gonna have to get used to that. So I was taught this game last year, and I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I knew that the time to play was going to be a barrier to entry in terms of getting it back to the table. And then, lo and behold, this beauty was announced, which is supposed to not in any way be the same experience, but to condense a similar thematic ideal or atmosphere and try to be the card game version of it. So again, it does say 2 to 4. If it is anything like Star Wars Rebellion or War of the Ring, I think that the 3 and 4 player is possibly not true, though this maybe as a card game has the actual opportunity to be more inviting to those extra players around the table instead of just being a 2-player experience. I think that this is maybe probably better suited to those other ones just because mechanically it's maybe got some different stuff going on. But I wanted to see if a 60 to 90 minute experience, maybe 90 minutes, I think. Let me see if it's on the box anywhere. I don't know if it says it on the box anywhere. 90 minutes, okay. I wanted to see if a 90-minute card game experience could give me the feeling of living in the Middle-earth realm in the world of Lord of the Rings. I wanted to see if it would give me that same feeling that I get from the tabletop board game or close enough in this shorter time frame. And the reason why I was curious about that is because in terms of having the dramatic and expansive feel of the tabletop game, I think I'm going to be leaning more towards Dune War for Arrakis when that comes out. It's from the same designers, but it's definitely in a little bit more of a compelling universe for me because my brain skews more towards sci-fi. But I didn't want to lose out on the chance of being in the world of Lord of the Rings. And so my hope is that possibly this plus Dune War for Arrakis could both be games that give me the cumulative feel of War of the Ring in 2 packages that are shorter. Because Dune War for Arrakis, I was playing that game in consistently 2 hours, even on Tabletop Simulator. And then this game is slated or, purportedly 90 minutes. And so I'm definitely curious. I have heard good things from the few sources that I have watched. Not in any, comprehensive amount. I've just kind of tentatively looked at some early impressions, and they seem to be positive. And so I am very interested to see how this goes. And again, this was given to me by a fan just by a friend of the channel. So Sebastian, thank you so much for this. And if you guys are familiar with any catalog that comes with a game, just got other titles here from Ares. So they've got, last Friday there they had, what was that one? Orconomics. They've got Black Rose Wars, which I think they were, doing the retail licensing on. Black Rose Wars is fantastic. A lot of other titles here that you can check out, at your will. But at the end of the day, that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is War of the Ring, the card game. So we've got a rule book and a punch-out sheet, and then also some promo cards that came with this pre-order. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. This is one of the titles that I was very keen on at Essen, but they sold out very, very quickly at Essen. So is there anything under here? There's not anything under here. So we have got a relatively shallow base in terms of it looks like a lot of room, which is makey. It's maybe making me wonder if they will release expansions for this game, because if you're familiar with the board game, it's got 3 different expansions. It's got Warriors of Middle-earth, Lords of Middle-earth, and then another one that I am currently blanking on. But so it's possible that this is already set up to fully house any expansions that they come out with, which I'm definitely okay for. So yeah, it's definitely always, definitely always a difficult matter to get cards out of this. So again, I am familiar with the tabletop game. I am not as familiar in terms of where the mechanics of this shift. I mean, obviously you can automatically identify that you're not going to be having like miniature based combat with rolling a bunch of dice and stuff like that, because this mechanically is not even close to set up for that. So that alone is a difference that I'm aware of. But you certainly have. I also don't even know why these are like split off into diagonally opposite sections. I'm assuming that maybe these card decks are split up into like the armies of Shadow, like Mordor and stuff like that, and then over here maybe the Easterlings or vice versa. So you've got Mordor here as an army, and then you've got so this is fully the army of Mordor in terms of the army cards and the event cards, and then this is Isengard and possibly monstrous elements. Okay, so different monsters, and then maybe the Easterlings or Southron. Okay, so Southron is a part of where Easterlings are coming from, like it's a location. So you've got the Southron armies here, you've got monstrous characters and monstrous armies, and then you've got Isengard. So between Mordor and all of these elements, you kind of have all of the typical events and armies that are set up in War of the Ring. And over here you have the Dunedain, which that's Aragorn's line, and like kind of like the Rangers of the North and stuff like that. So you have the Dunedain set up. You have the elf army and characters and events and stuff. So you've got the elves, you've got the Dunedain, Men of the North, or like Men of Erebor or whatever. And then you've got the dwarves and the hobbits and Rohan and the different wizards involved around Gandalf and his storyline. So it seems like it may not have the entire like 5 nations of the free people and stuff, and this may not have all of the exact elements that are in the tabletop game, but it seems like most of them are here in terms of the characters involved and the different kind of like nations that you've got going on. If this is like the free people one, what I might actually do is, just for the sake of my organizational tendencies, I might put them there and them there to where they're on opposite sides of each other, just in terms of the organization. So definitely interested to see how this functions as soon as I can get this open. I guess like what I'm curious about is how many of you have played War of the Ring? How many of you have played War of the Ring, and what are your thoughts on it? I'm curious to hear what you think, because to me this is a very, like the original War of the Ring, it's a very compelling game. It's got a lot of like strategy elements into it. It's got so much decision that I think in terms of the strategy choices, I think it rewards you the more that you play. You get to see all of the different ways in which you can kind of like manipulate what's going on. I don't know if this is an event deck or what. We can see momentarily. But we'll go ahead and get these promo cards out and in there. So Eoreth from the Dunedain. Don't know who that is. Rohan character. Never seen this person. Okay, so you got the Whip of Many Things from the Balrog. And then Gothmog, Mordor character. Seemingly connected in some capacity to the Witch King based off of that ability. So just some more characters here. So this is a monstrous item, and then Mordor. So Mordor, I can go ahead and just pop that here in Mordor's deck. And then I think, that's monstrous. So this is Mordor's deck. And then the monstrous deck is in here. So go ahead and just pop that in there so that those are in the correct decks. And then this has got the Dunedain in it, so I can add them there. And then Rohan was over here in this deck, so we can go ahead and get this character in there for Rohan. So let's see, was this a dwarf? It wasn't actually a dwarf. Okay. Oh, Gimli. Of course it's a dwarf. It's Gimli. And then I guess we can just get all of these tokens just kind of in the bottom here. I don't really need them to be separated right now based off of which side they're on. Just going to do this a little bit more quickly. I don't know. I'm just curious. What do you guys think about War of the Ring, if you've played it, do you like the idea of a game that comes up with a card game implementation of it? Are you, skeptical when that happens or not? I genuinely think that if this game hits it off for me, I think that this and Dune Warfare Arrakis will kind of, render... I'm going to probably offend some people here, but essentially for my purposes as a gamer and the ease of gaming for me, it will probably render War of the Ring obsolete for me. I would probably rather play this and Dune Warfare Imperium and really play both of them in the same amount or less time than it takes me to play that one game. So, you've got the game design here from Ian Brody, so that is a different designer than the designers of War of the Ring. And then, definitely has a lot of connection, though, to that world, given the intention of the design and creating a two-player experience here. I like the idea that there are scenarios, so that's cool. I like the idea of scenarios. That means that, you automatically set yourself up for some different styles of gameplay. This has got a trilogy scenario at 2 to 4, a 2-player duel, a 3-player duel, and then the Fellowship of the Ring, which functions as a 2-player short scenario. I really am a fan of games that set up scenarios, because even though it's a linear, already constructed setup, it definitely gives you ways to play the game differently, and that invites replay, which I'm always a fan of. So you've got your faction cards, which are split up against the Free Peoples and the Shadow, similar to the board game. You've got your location cards, where you've got the battlegrounds for the Free Peoples, the battlegrounds for the Shadow. So this seems to be... All right, I think I'm good. That seems to be just... those were like strongholds in the physical game where you could go to those locations and fight to take them over. And so if you have battleground cards, it just seems like those are locations that you're going to be warring over, but it's abstracted from a physical map, and it's more taking place, in a card layout on the table. And then you've got 27 paths, which sound really interesting. If it's an event deck, I love that. I really like event decks. I like the Crossroads deck in Dead of Winter. I like stuff that functions. You've got starting player tokens, ring tokens, which sometimes typically allow you to maybe revert or get some luck on something if it has anything to do with the Rings of Power from the board game, where you can kind of change the face of a die. So that might give you some manipulation or rule breaking ability. And then you have these combat tokens, corruption tokens, and then player aids with the turn order trackers. Got a play area here that's kind of set up where you've got, this is a 4-player setup here where you've got Frodo and Aragorn versus the Witch King and Saruman. The Witch King commanding the army of Mordor and Saruman commanding the army of Isengard. Aragorn, obviously being representative of the Dunedain and, kind of the Free Peoples at large, and Frodo being more the Fellowship of the Ring. So you've got these different setups here, though, and it breaks down into what location cards do, what faction cards do. So it seems to be a pretty simple rule book. The rule book for War of the Ring is quite dense. So, again, getting a little bit more accessibility just based off of what you're working with here. I'm really excited for this. I think that War of the Ring is a title that I am going to enjoy. I enjoy the full tabletop game, but I'm hoping that the card game really does do something for me in terms of creating a supplemental or, replacement experience, albeit less complex, maybe less romantic in terms of, playing out the fate of Middle-earth in a huge tabletop experience. I'm not saying War of the Ring is a game I'll never play again. I'm saying that for my collection, if this does what I want it to do, this and Dune Warfare Arrakis will be the two things I keep in my collection, and War of the Ring will be kind of like a just treat that I, take pleasure in or take part in whenever I can with someone else's copy. So if the opportunity arises, would love to play it. I just think that logistically having 90 to 120 minute experiences means they'll play more often. I'm excited about this. Really looking forward to seeing how it goes. Sebastian, thank you once again for being super generous, super awesome, and handing this off. And let me know if you guys are interested at all in this title. See you guys next time.